Welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll talk about history of the UN. The United Nations stands as one of the most significant international organizations dedicated to maintaining peace, security, and cooperation among nations. Established in the aftermath of World War II, the UN has played a crucial role in addressing global challenges, fostering international diplomacy, and promoting human rights. This video traces the historical developments of the United Nations from its inception to its contemporary role in world affairs. The concept of an international organization dedicated to global peace was not new. Before the UN, the League of Nations was established in 1920 as a response to World War I with the aim of preventing future conflicts. However, the League failed to prevent the outbreak of World War II due to its inability to enforce its resolutions and lack of participation from major world powers like the United States. During World War II, world leaders recognized the need for more robust international framework. The groundwork for the United Nations was laid through a series of meetings and declarations. Some of these declarations were the Atlantic Charter of 1941, signed by US President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. The charter outlined the vision for a post war world based on collective security, self determination, and economic cooperation. The Declaration of United Nations in 1942, signed by 26 allied nations, this document formalized the commitment to fight against Axis powers and uphold the principles of the Atlantic Charter. The Moscow and Tehran conferences in 1943 led discussions among the Allied powers, emphasized the necessity of a post war international organization. The Dumbarton Oaks Conference of 1944. In this, representatives from China, Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States formulated the preliminary framework of the UN. And in the Yalta Conference of 1945, leaders of the Allied powers, including Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin, agreed on voting procedures for the Security Council and the structure of the new organization. On April 25, 1945, representatives from 50 countries convened in San Francisco to draft the United Nations Charter. The charter was officially signed on June 26, 1945, and the UN was formally established on October 24, 1945, when the required number of member states ratified the charter. The organization's primary objectives, as stated in its charter, include maintaining international peace and security, promoting human rights and fundamental freedoms, encouraging social progress and economic development, and facilitating international cooperation on global issues. In its early years, the UN focused on post war reconstruction and conflict resolution. Some of its notable achievements include the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, a milestone document that set the foundation for global human rights norms. Peacekeeping missions. The first UN peacekeeping mission was deployed in 1948 to mediate conflicts in the Middle East and decolonization efforts. The UN played a vital role in supporting newly independent nations in Africa and Asia, helping them transition to self governance. During the Cold War between 1947 and 1991, the UN faced significant challenges due to ideological tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Security Council was often paralyzed by vetoes, limiting its effectiveness in resolving conflicts. However, the UN remained active in areas such as humanitarian aid. Organizations like UNICEF and the World Food Programme provided critical assistance, and mediation and diplomacy. The UN played a role in negotiating ceasefires and facilitating diplomatic talks in conflicts such as the Korean War of 1950 and the Swiss crisis of 1956. With the end of Cold War, the UN saw a renewed ability to engage in conflict resolution and peacekeeping. Some of its key post-Cold achievements include the Gulf War of 1991, the UN authorized military action to expel Iraqi forces from Kuwait, the Rwandan genocide of 1994. Although the UN was criticized for its failure to prevent the genocide, it later took steps to strengthen its peacekeeping mechanisms. The establishment of international tribunals. The UN created tribunals to prosecute war crimes, including those in Yugoslavia and Rwanda. The Millennium Development Goals of 2000, a set of global targets to address poverty, education, gender equality, and health, were established. Today, the UN continues to play a vital role in global governance. Some of its major areas of focus include climate change. The UN spearheaded the Paris Agreement of 2015 to combat global warming. Humanitarian crisis. The UN provides aid in conflict zones, including Syria and Yemen. Peacekeeping operations. Over 100,000 peacekeepers are deployed worldwide, and Sustainable Development Goals. Launched in 2015, these goals aim to eradicate poverty, promote equality, and protect the environment by 2030. The United Nations has evolved significantly since its founding, adapting to change global dynamics while striving to uphold its core principles. Although it faces challenges such as political gridlock, funding constraints, and criticisms of inefficiency, the UN remains a cornerstone of international cooperation. Its legacy of peacekeeping, human rights advocacy, and development initiatives underscores its importance in shaping a more just and peaceful world. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe for more.